The big question: are you pro Trunks or no Trunks?
I'm pro Trunks. I think it adds some depth and dimension to the suit. I think when you have no Trunks, it's like all one. I like a little bit of breakup. You know, it doesn't have to be the bright red Trunks that we see in this film with Christopher Reeve apostrophe S suit. But I like that it evenly distributes the proportions of the top and the bottom.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think when they took away the trunks, they made Superman a little more like serious. Like, you know, Snyder got rid of the trunks and it changed his personality. And now we have the trunks back, and it's the personality that I kind of see Superman in.
It's not the dark, gritty Superman. It's like the light, hope-filled. He's got the light in his eyes, Superman.
Now, I'm not going to trash the trunks, the no trunks look, though. I do think
it looks great.
that, like, there's some comic book artists that do no trunks, and I'm like, it's a great suit. It's a great looking suit.
Is the original Justice League, like the animated TV show, was that trunks or no trunks?
Something to look up.
The show, like from
Justice League animated series
from the
like
early
Justice
2000s.
League Unlimited.
I think there
Like
was
later.
trunks on that.
There was trunks, confirming trunks.
Yeah.
Wait, the animated?
But they
I
were,
don't
like,
know.
darker.
I'm seeing no Trunks on some of these images of a cartoon soups.
I mean, there's
Actually,
a lot of Justice League.
There's a lot of
shows.
because there's one he has the black Trunks. There's some it's like a
Oh.
dark
The black
red.
trunks are kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean you
I like
can't
the
really
dark
see
red.
it, but like there's somewhat
Oh yeah, I do
yeah,
remember that
yeah.
with
That's
the yellow belt.
with the
With the
yellow
yellow
belt.
belt.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Trunks. I'm pro Trunks. I think it adds to the
Okay.
silliness of who Superman is. And yeah, while it was
Oh, you think they're silly?
well, I think on purpose because look, to harken back to this new interview that David Cornsweet was saying, he's saying that like James Gunn tried to make the Trunks utility. Like how would he actually use that? And they couldn't figure it out. They said, we don't know, but we're just going to use Trunks because it makes him look silly because he's trying to lower down his intimidation to kids and to people because he's already such a powerful guy. He wants to make himself look like, look, you don't have to be afraid of me. I'm just a guy wearing some trunks, you know?
Which is sweet.
And I
I
Which
do
is
think
very
they add a
sweet.
little bit of vulnerability.
Yes,
It's
definitely.
like, okay, this man is like,
He's walking
wearing
around in
a
his
suit,
underwear.
but he's also wearing clothes.
I think a big thing for me is if you imagine the trunks in your head, it looks
Yeah.
ridiculous. But then when you actually see it, you're like, oh wait, that's fine. That looks cool. I like that.
Yeah, and he wears
Yeah.
it with confidence, which is like, this guy can make some trunks look good. I think I'm gonna rock some trunks today.
I would say that our Supermans across history have looked pretty dang good in the trunks, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chris Reeve, what was getting me a little was that they were high-waisted. They were pretty up there.
Oh yeah, they were.
Oh, I would like to just an inch, lower that inseam or whatever. Not the inseam, lower that.
I mean, yeah.
waist.
That waistband
waist a
goes
little bit.
above the belly button on these trunks here in this movie.
Okay, Cavill was no trunks.
Right.
No trunks,
Yeah.
unfortunately. He had the belt was like in the suit. It was like more alien as a belt. It wasn't even a belt.
It is a little more alien. That's a good word to describe that suit. I don't know if I like how alien the suit looks.
And now we have lines. There's just a bunch of Marvel Studios lines.
Which I don't really
know.
fuck with.
Yeah.
I don't like the lines. I don't like how Marvel lined all the suits. They said,
Well,
let's put
it's a
lines on
tactical
it.
It's
look.
just the
It's
same.
tactical.
It's the same costume designer that
It's
did
tactical.
James Gunn's
It's tactical.
like Guardians movies that did this
Okay.
Superman movie. So
Smooth
You
that
know what? I
baby
think
out.
the Guardian suits look good though.
the Guardians 3 suits looks
Yeah,
great. It
incredible.
looks
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Well, if you haven't figured it out, today we're talking about the film that launched the superhero genre, turned Christopher Reeve into a legend, and made Lex Luthor into a real estate guy?
Superman tells the story of Kal-El, sent from the doomed planet Krypton and raised on Earth as Clark Kent, as he discovers his powers and adopts the mantle of Superman. He becomes a symbol of hope for humanity, but when Lex Luthor launches a deadly scheme to sink California into the ocean, Superman must race against time to stop him and save millions. Superman 1978 was directed by Richard Donner with a story and screenplay by Mario Puzo. And do you guys know who Mario Puzo did? Or
No,
what he did
wait,
previously?
is that
He's
Godfather?
famous.
He
Yeah,
wrote
he's the Godfather.
The Godfather.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
the book and the screenplay.
Oh wow, interesting. Which
The-
is why the Marlon Brando connection.
Exactly.
Have you guys heard about the development of this movie? How it's all over the fucking place?
No,
This one?
give me some more
Yeah,
time.
this film was
Okay.
all over the place. So originally, Mario Puzo wasn't supposed to be a part of it. For a little bit, they wanted like Steven Spielberg to direct this film, but it was just like
'78.
Yes. So Ilya Salkind had first conceived the idea for a Superman film in late 1973. In 1974, after a long, difficult process with DC Comics, the super film rights were purchased by Ilya, his father, and their partner. DC wanted a list of actors that were considered to be Superman and approved producers' choice of Muhammad Ali, Al Pacino, James Caan, Steve McQueen, Clint Eastwood, and Dustin Hoffman. The filmmakers
All these are
felt
like
it was
gritty,
best.
Gritty crime.
They were just the
people.
guys at the time.
Yeah,
they were
that's
just
true.
the big guys at the time. You know,
James
like when
Caan
we think
is
of
the GOAT.
when we think of guys to play Superman now, we're thinking like Henry Cavill. We're talking
Cool boy. Yeah.
We're thinking cool guys.
Clint Eastwood.
Imagine.
Lois.
I can't even
Lane.
imagine.
I cannot.
He goes. "Hey."
Filmmakers. So they, as you know, they filmed Superman, Superman 2 back to back. Let's see.
I didn't know that they shot it back to back. Actually,
They did, and William
Especially since the second
Goldman
one-
was approached to write the screenplay, while Lee Brackett was considered. Ilya hired Alfred Bester, who began writing a film treatment. But because Bester wasn't famous enough, he hired Mario Puzo to write it instead.
to get another name on there, basically.
To get another name on there at a
Oh.
$600,000 salary.
My God.
And that's probably
Peter
stupid back
Yates, John Guillermin, Ronald Niam, and Sam Peckinpah were in negotiations to direct. Peckinpah dropped out when he produced a gun during a meeting with Ilya.
What? Got so upset?
And then George Lucas apparently was in the talks, and he turned it down
believe it.
because of his commitment to Star Wars.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so then there was Steven Spielberg, as I said before. He was already committed to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And then
It's
Guy Hamilton was hired as director while
That's crazy,
Puzo
though.
delivered a script. Yeah, it's
There is a large amount of Star Wars influences, I would say, in this movie. Coming like just a couple years after, 4 years after. Wait,
Well, 77, right?
Star Wars is
Well, I guess-
77?
I think so. Yeah.
So this is only a year after. I would say that Krypton has some imperial look, I would say, with
Yeah.
the horizontal,
the horizontal
vertically
lights.
slatted lines, lights and stuff.
Yeah.
A miniature. It's the miniature, man.
Oh my God, the
Isn't that
miniatures
crazy?
in this movie are insane, especially
They're
at the
really
end.
great. The production design is amazing.
It's crazy. This is the most expensive film that was produced at this time, like the most expensive film of all time at $55 million.
Which is surprising because you hear
crazy.
how sometimes miniatures are often more expensive than doing it practical, which I don't know. Sometimes I
Well,
hear
in this
that,
case,
I feel like.
they were exploding the Hoover Dam, I believe
Yeah,
it is. Or was it the Hoover Dam or a different dam?
Dam.
It was the Hoover Dam, yes.
Yeah, and flooded a city, or like a small town. And
Yeah, so
I
what-
would assume that would be a little
Once
more
you destroy
expensive.
that, it's done. You're like, all
Yeah.
right, well, we can't build this again. We're done.
I do want to go back to the director-writer story
Yeah.
because we still need to get to Donner and Tom Mankiewicz because so Donner was writing The Omen and The Omen 2, and after seeing the first Omen, they decided to hire Donner. But then he wasn't satisfied with the script they previously wrote, so he brought in Tom Mankiewicz to perform a rewrite. And then according to Mankiewicz, they didn't use a single fucking word from the
What?
script that Puzo wrote.
So Puzo's just here as a name, basically?
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Wow. He got a payout and dipped, pretty much.
Yep. And
That's crazy.
he said it was well written, but a ridiculous script. It was 550 pages.
Oh my
Yeah, that
god.
makes sense.
He said, you can't shoot the screenplay because you'll be shooting for 5 years.
This is
Oh god.
Mario Puzo. We're talking about the guy that, made a 3.5-hour Godfather movie after cuts. Like,
Yep. And then the
he's
Writers Guild.
He's a novel writer.
And then the Writers Guild refused to credit
Awful
Mankiewicz
writer.
for his rewrites. So Donner gave him a
Wow.
creative consultant credit.
That's ugly. That's an ugly story.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yep.
Awful.
You have overall thoughts and getting into like everything. I want to hear about what you think about the pacing because the pacing of this film, I feel like it could be all over the place. Or we think it.
So this is the umpteenth time I've watched this movie. I had the like 4-pack DVDs as a kid. And when we would go on road trips, my dad would sandwich his laptop in between the front and passenger seats. And
yes,
so
I know exactly. In between the armrests.
Yeah.
Or on top of the armrest.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it had have the DVD player, so we'd slide that baby in there. Every time we went over a bump, the movie would skip or pause or whatnot.
Nice.
But it was a staple. This 4-pack of DVDs for the Superman Christopher Reeve movies were always in there, ready to go. And so I would watch this a lot. I loved this movie. I think my dad introduced it to me because his dad loved it, and which is crazy. That's like my grandpa, who I only met when I was like a little kid, thought this movie was like the future. This is like the coolest thing ever at the time of release.
I think you're too young to be watching Superman 1.
Really?
You think so?
I think you're too young to be watching this movie. I think there's
There's
too
some
much
scenes that did not age very well that we will get to.
That's what I'm saying.
At the end there. But yeah, so I've seen this a lot of times, and I love this movie so much. What was your initial question, Ryder? I feel like I lost it there.
No, yeah, just like pacing. But
The pacing. Thank you, because I was getting to this. This was I had to explain that so I can get to this.
Yeah.
I kind of knew the layout of this movie a little bit more, but as a kid, I didn't care about pacing or whatever that is. I just saw young Superman. But let me tell you, showing it to somebody who had never seen it before, having it be 50
You
minutes.
watched it with Al?
I watched it with Ali. Having it go 50 minutes without him getting in the suit and stuff. And it's just kind of the origin story at its most basic. And it's a great origin story, don't get me wrong, but it's at its most basic and it's what you know. And someone could tell you this origin story without ever seeing a Superman movie at this point in your life. So it does feel like you're kind of retreading ground, although it's great. It's fun to watch, but it feels a little slow. Yeah.
Did Allie know the origin story of Superman?
She does, because she's obsessed with Smallville, which is her her Superman touchdown. Like everything else just doesn't matter. It's all Smallville for her. So she's
People love Smallville. People say it's great.
It's crazy that they try to do, 12 seasons of Smallville or whatever in 50 minutes.
And like 8 of those are Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's not Superman in Smallville. Like
No.
At all.
Not until the last couple seasons.
Yeah, right.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Me going to this was, I only knew Henry Cavill, I only knew Man of Steel, because Superman was never a huge staple for me. So off the rip, I'm coming into this, I'm seeing the opening, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this is kind of this is where Man of Steel is getting its connection to General Zod and everybody. And I think I knew I was set up for success when I saw the 3 General Zod and his 2 commanders. They get trapped in what looks like a mirror,
the pane of glass.
Thing. That's such a crazy effect. That was such a wild thing that kind of was like, this is old, but
it's funny you bring that up.
Doing creative stuff.
That is like a terrifying, daydream of I will think about that.
Oh yeah,
quite often in my life of that would be a terrifying thought, being stuck in a pane of glass, floating through space for the rest of your life, doomed to whatever.
I think the worst part of it is you don't actually know what it's like inside that pane of glass. You don't know.
No.
You don't know is it a pocket dimension? Are they in a void behind that glass? Are they flattened? Is everything they know flat?
I don't know. I kind of now want to watch Superman 2 to see the effect of them coming out of that or how that works. Because they are the main.
They come back in
you've
2,
seen
right?
Superman 2.
I don't remember how exactly it happens.
Okay.
I am curious to watch Superman 2 though, because there's 2 cuts of Superman 2 now. Also, there's the
Donner cut,
which is apparently you need to watch the Donner cut. It's better than anything, and it's the best Superman movie.
Do you know how to watch it?
Yeah, I think it's on HBO. The Donner cut's on HBO Max.
Really?
Yeah. If not, I'm sure I can find it somewhere else. But I'm very curious to watch it.
I want to say
okay.
Another overall thought too about Superman when it comes to who he is as a person and how people say Christopher Reeve is the definitive Superman is because you can get who he is from the comics, but when you see him in this character, I like the line at the end when he goes, "We're all part of the same team." After he drops Lex off at the prison, he tells the warden, "We're all part of the same team," and he has this spirit about him that's he's a good person. But I've been seeing lately people breaking down what Superman is, of course, press for the new film. and they're saying that people might think he's boring because he's not conflicted. He's not morally conflicted. He's not one side or the other. He is very like he will always do the right thing, and he's set on that. And while that may,
but I think that's so wrong.
Yeah, and really, you think that's wrong? Ooh.
Oh, I think it's so wrong. I think Superman is constantly conflicted. I was listening to a few podcasts, and people were talking about how like Superman, Clark Kent is, and as we know him as Kal-El, is conflicted because there's no one like him. Like there is no one like him. He is the most powerful, person in the whole world and in the whole universe, and no one will be able to understand that. And all he does is want to be human. He wants to be like other people. He like cares so much for Earth and for humans, but at the same time, like he can never really truly relate to them on a certain level. Like I think there is that, we see the goodness of Superman about like wanting truth and justice in the American way, but at the end of the day, he's not of Earth. He grew up on Earth, but he's also not.
True.
Yeah. I think his struggles are so much different than other heroes in general.
Yeah.
I think that almost fitting in piece, and he's an alien, trying to fit into this human Earth, especially in the early scenes, like the first 50 minutes of the movie, we see that football scene where he just wants to like go hang out with those people, but he's kind of like an outcast, and those people don't know he's Superman or whatever. They call him a freak anyways. He throws or kicks the football, and it goes super far.
Soaring out. Yeah.
He's so upset. And I think that is like that early origin story of him wanting to try out for the football team or wanting to do this, like these normal people things, but he would just be so much better than everybody else. That is super interesting conflict to me. It's when he gets to an adult that it changes. There's not those very obvious challenges like that he would face. It all comes in his relationships with other people as Clark Kent, and then as Superman, he is that invincible person, but you believe in everything that he's doing. So, like he has he's like two different characters. They just have the same kind of fitting in thing on both sides.
Do you think it's two different characters? I think it's so there's so much continuity.
I do think it's together. I just think it shows in different ways in both in Superman versus these super villains, and in Clark Kent versus the Daily Planet coworkers. Like it's very different but very the same.
I wanted to say, so yeah, I agree 100% with what you guys saying, like the conflict of that. But I meant like what I'm hearing about who he is as a hero, like conflicted in what he does. Like there are a lot of heroes that I think often don't do what's right because there's a moral gray side, and I feel like Superman always makes everything black and white. Like there is a good thing to do and there was a wrong thing to do, and I feel like he always, no matter what, even though he's having like that, I feel like what y'all were talking about was something different from what I'm saying, in that what he's gonna do is he's always good. Like he's never gonna lie. He's never gonna do what's bad.
Oh, yeah. I think I even disagree. Like, okay. I mean, not that I disagree with he's not gonna lie, because Superman, he says, and I always tell the truth. But he, in the end of the film, when we'll get there in the grand finale, when he decides to turn back time to save Lois, that was something he was explicitly told not to do. His dad, Jor-El, was talking to him in the sky. He was saying you cannot change the course of human history.
Yes.
Which, what the fuck does that mean? But it's so vague. But at the same time, he like knows that it's technically the wrong thing to do, but he's so consumed by passion and love for Lois Lane that he breaks the rules to save her.
That's a beautiful thing.
Okay,
that's a beautiful thing. But Ryder, I agree with you in the sense that he doesn't hesitate to do the right thing, but I think that the interesting thing about Superman is sometimes the right thing isn't necessarily what would be right to somebody else. Like it's he comes from a place of more knowledge than the average person, and this experience that has shaped him. And so, yeah, his right is different than somebody else's right, which is cool.
That's what I love about, seeing this iteration of Superman is like Christopher Reeve delivers such a calmness, right? A very Boy Scout type and a very like sweet little baby mentality of like everything's gonna be okay. It's like a very
Until-
nice
and
guy.
when he
That's
goes,
very calming. Yeah, very calming
Yeah.
until he and screams out in
I
pain.
love that.
And
But I think he's less Boy Scout than people give him credit. Like he is very Boy Scout, but he's also like cheeky.
He's
little
kind of a
bit.
dog in this
yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah, right? Like, he's a
flirty
dog,
guy.
like,
He gets crazy.
He's
Yeah.
a flirty guy. He like
is.
I love the quips. It's almost like feels more akin to something that would be like in a Spider-Man.
Which
right?
I was
than
telling y'all
than
before
Superman.
this. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, as a Spider-Man. Which, again, when you think of the persona of Superman and you think of him as like, oh, Superman is the cool guy and Clark Kent is the nerdy, mess up everything type guy. And that's my initial what I had thought before seeing this and before thinking of learning about Superman and Clark Kent. But you see him in this, and yeah, y'all are touching on it. He's cool with it. He's quick with it. He's quick on his feet,
is.
and he's quippy. And yeah, well, he does kind of fumble. Like he's doing that on purpose, which I'm like, oh, I never
Yeah.
got that. I thought
Yeah.
he is Clark Kent. No, I think he's putting on Clark Kent, which is so
Oh, yeah.
like
Totally.
so much smarter than I initially had thought Clark Kent is.
I
love the moments when he's like doing something like kind of but then he like looks to the corner of the eye and he breaks the fourth wall. And he's like,
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. It's like after he does something
Like, when
stupid,
he-
he's like, "You really thought I would do that for real?" He's like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when he gets when he catches the bullet and he like falls down, he's like, oh, but then he's like,
"That's a great scene too."
it's so good.
I love that. Okay, let's start going through some of the moments of this movie. We start in the fall of Krypton. We have Marlon Brando, the Godfather himself, as Jor-El. What is this about the green suitcase and the bagel?
Okay, so when Marlon Brando was brought on for this role, he's
I was like, what is this note in the dock?
okay.
Suitcase bagel.
So he kept trying to tell kept trying to tell Donner. He's like proposing. I think this is very much a cash grab for him. He's just getting his quote for him. He kept trying to like propose that his first meeting with like the character would be like for him to appear as like a green suitcase or like a green bagel, being like
What?
he was just kind of telling Donner, he'd be like what if I came on screen and like I was a green suitcase or
Like
I was a
talking to
green-
him?
yeah.
Why?
Like, and I don't fucking know.
Like a
but like
literal
Donner
piece of
had to
box.
like he had to like talk him down from it and be like no, like that's not a good idea. And so
This is
eventually
not surprising because Marlon Brando, very interesting history of being not easy to work with, lots of ideas. But he probably really believed in this idea. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that was like I'm doing this to like F over Donner. He probably really thought he had something here.
It's like
I bet he did.
like
and you know what? Maybe he did.
transforms into a green like he's a,
No, not transform. Just like the character is just a green bagel, or like he would like gesture to things and be like, oh, what if instead of Superman, baby, we just had a green suitcase?
You mean like Jor-El's everywhere in Clark's life sort of thing? Is it that
No.
kind of aspect?
No, like a talking green suitcase,
Okay.
or like
I don't know if I'm with it, Marlon Brando.
insanity. Yeah.
no.
Definitely
it's,
not with it.
It's not a good idea. And so, following this with the cue cards. So in the scene where you got baby Superman and they're putting him in the little ship, there's
The
cue
death trap.
cards. There's cue cards inside there, and he's reading the cue cards. He's not like he didn't bother to memorize the lines. He's just
Yeah.
reading the cue cards inside the little baby ship.
That is so funny.
That's
Yeah, so
insane.
we kind of open the movie and the General Zod and two other Kryptonians are on trial. And I love the look of this scene. We have these like two circles
great.
that are like flying around them, and the
You got the
Kryptonian
Zoom call, the
council
Kryptonian Zoom call.
yeah.
the floating heads.
They're all voting if they should
Call.
be banished because they have a different ideology than the Kryptonians here. I am
They're
unsure
communists.
if they have something if they were part of the cause of Krypton's destruction, or if the Krypton destruction was just the natural thing
It sounded
that
like the
happened.
Krypton's destruction was just a natural
It just happened
event.
to be right
Nice,
before.
Like
This-
the sun
this-
like exploded.
I will
Yeah.
find him. No, I was waiting for that. From
so-
Man of Steel.
Oh, at the end of it?
No, I was waiting for
I
like.
don't really remember Man of Steel that much.
Well, because
I
like
don't
you know when
remember
he's
any-
the opening when Russell's talking to, I forget the actor's name.
Oh,
Zod. When before they
Yeah.
ship him off, he goes, "I will find him." Like he mentions the sun, and so I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah.
this is that scene." No,
it's so basically the Kryptonians are wearing these reflective outfits,
They're
which
tinfoil.
are hilarious. It's
They're
like
awesome.
They're filming
I
them,
love them.
and they have this bright light, maybe on this
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
high vis jumpsuit.
It's very Tron.
Oh, it's super
Oh
Tron.
yeah, that's definitely how they
It's
did.
very Tron, which is I thought was so
Interesting.
sick. Yeah.
But everybody's just eating in this scene. Like, it's so serious. It's the end of Krypton. They're like,
It's
Jor-El's
a
like,
diva off.
he's like, we got to get out of here. Like, we should leave because we're all gonna die if we stay here. And the council's
And they're
like,
like,
no, we're gonna stay. Like, we're gonna stay. Everything's fine. Like, it'll blow over. Jor-El's like, okay, well, I can't leave either because the council's still here. I gotta go down with the ship. I'm like one of the leaders of this place. So he takes his son and his wife with 0 lines in this besides like awkwardly crying into Jor-El's shoulder. Like, I don't know. They could have given her
I
something.
thought she said like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
she was
2.
like, he'll be smarter than them, or like,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he'll be better than them, or like
It'll be different.
the
Yeah.
technology will be behind, or something like that. 2,000 years behind.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Little hints of something there. And they put him in this death trap. It's all spiky in there and glassy and like they put this little
It's kind of
newborn.
sick. It's very
in
a
there.
product of the late 70s.
Totally. And then I love this design. There's a bunch of like plastic tubes, which are crystals around, and Jor-El touches the top with his finger
Yeah.
and then out comes a crystal and he like grabs it and he puts it in the thing and he does another one. He grabs it and he puts it in the little shuttle. And then the final one, he touches it and this green crystal comes out and he puts it
I
with
wish they
all the
didn't
white
make it green.
crystals. Me neither. Because
I
it's
wish
not
can
kryptonite.
Can it be red?
Yeah. Or
Red would
maybe
make so much more sense.
blue or
Any other
it's-
color.
Maybe it has an icy effect, you
Yeah.
know? Something like that. But green is so synonymous
it's
with kryptonite.
Yeah, it's green as kryptonite.
Yeah, I was,
Goodness
conf-
gracious.
I was confused with where the technology went to crystals, where they started touching them. I was like, oh, so
Yeah.
they've
It's
advanced
so
so far
cool.
beyond that they have crystals now. But I did
Oh,
like
it's
the
not
God,
design.
so
computers.
cool. It's like, you know what? This is actually really synonymous with Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, because they had like 5D hard drive or whatever it
They
was,
devolved in that one?
and it was no, they're on par with
Crystal, yeah.
Kryptonian technology
yeah.
because
It
they
was a
have the
crystal.
5D. Yeah,
And it was
a
like
crystal.
it was a giant ass
That's
USB
right.
drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Crystals hold the future to our technology.
Maybe the crystal people were right, guys. Maybe we didn't give them enough
Oh,
credit.
Yeah,
I think they're just
like-
going about it in the wrong way. I think they're missing an opportunity to really
Yeah.
tap into the technological advances of crystals.
you need to
Yeah.
capitalize on these crystal powers.
We should probably,
Yeah.
we need to like cut it off from the emotional side of the crystals
Right.
and go purely into the scientific side of the crystals and yeah,
Right.
the
Give
mathematical
them to
side.
Bezos.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
think that's a good idea.
Yeah,
So-
that's a great idea.
The shuttle blasts through this glass pane ceiling. They send off their son, and then it's just becomes a disaster movie for the next 5 minutes in the destruction of Krypton
It's scary. People are
It's
just
awesome.
falling for like a whole 2 minutes.
forever. And it's copy stamped the same person, like just different.
Yeah, it's just her.
Different
It's just his family over and
Yeah.
over again.
So yeah, Krypton blows up. Oh, and it's kind of comical. Like everybody falls and dies and stuff, and then all of a sudden it cuts out.
They're
and it's this
screaming.
planet just goes like explodes like ridiculous. God.
Very Death Star. Very Spielberg. Or
All right,
not
Ryder, tell
Spielberg.
me-
George Lucas.
Tell me a little bit when we have Kal-El crash landing on Earth.
Yeah, so you have your crash lands butt ass naked, then
He
lifts
does.
the car with his finger.
He has a little winkle.
Well, so we have the Kents. The Kents pull up, and they see him, and they have a flat tire, James.
Yeah, they have a flat tire, and off to the side of the road is little baby Clark Kent with his whole dingle dongle
Just flying
out there. And
I want to
he
keep
lifts,
in mind this is the second movie in a row that we've done on the podcast that have shown full peen, which is pretty crazy.
What was the last movie?
We're
that
starting
showed
a
full
trend
peen?
now. This.
28 days.
Oh, that did show Cillian Murphy full peen.
Yeah.
The farther we
having-
go back, the more peen we see.
For having only 9 episodes, 2 full peen movies is a crazy.
That is a crazy statistic. But he holds up the car, and Martha has this whole thing of like, oh, like this is like God's gift to us. Like we could just say that we have some cousins in like South Dakota that like, and we're the aunt or whatever.
Dude, it's so funny that like immediately it's not like, oh my God, we should like find this.
No,
guy's
they're like,
parents.
we need
they're
to
like,
adopt him.
we should take him. Like
We
this
should
kid's
take
ours
him.
now. I love it.
So it kind of like fast forwards after this, right, to the high school scene, and the girl wants to hang out with Clark Kent, and he's putting all the football stuff away, and the kid goes, "Oh, Clark can't join. He has so much work to do." It's just like 7 helmets out on the field, but they're leaving now. She's like, "Oh, well, I guess we can't." Like, "Oh, sorry." Like, and then
it's
she
young
leaves.
Lana.
It's young Lana. Who
Yeah.
is Lana?
Lana's a very important character in Smallville lore. I believe that an older version of her is in Superman 2 and 3.
Oh.
And she's another Clark love interest in a lot of different
Does he have an
media.
affair with Lois Lane?
It's not an affair. I don't remember exactly what happens. But like, for instance, in Smallville, Clark and Lana are together throughout the entire show, basically on and off, and then it's Lois at the end. Like,
because he doesn't meet Lois until
Yes.
he moves to Metropolis.
and the actress that plays Lana in these movies plays Martha Kent in Smallville. So they
that's
brought
so
a lot of people that were
that's
in,
cool.
that played young people in this movie are like adults in Smallville, which is fun.
That's
Can I
really
say,
fun.
I feel like there's been a trend with Clark Kent's young life and football, and I don't know if that's because he's from Kansas or Ohio, or like where he's from, or
It's
if
because he's from Kansas.
it's because he's from because I was like, once the original film does it, then you have every other movie kind of following that, and while it's maybe not he's playing football or he's getting bullied by somebody, I think like the athleticism of a young guy, like you have these jocks and you have that idea of a young man being in sports versus him being like, oh, I don't need to do that, and then he's like also incredibly strong. I don't know. I feel like there's something there with like, it's such an easy trope to do. And I feel like we've seen that so many times now in all these movies.
Football is like, the classic American sport, right?
It is.
And you have to be kind of manly to play football and stuff.
Yeah.
And you have
You need to
Clark
be strong and fast.
Yeah, and Clark, that he's able to just be better than everybody else here, but he has to like pretend to like not be. And I think that's like the split.
And can
there.
and speaking of that balance, and we talked about this a little earlier when he's balancing like the fitting in thing. I love the conversation he has with his dad.
Oh my God.
Going up the dirt road. He finally comes back home after this whole thing. He runs home. He's booking it.
Yeah.
And he comes home and he talks to his dad. And he's talking to him about how he like just wants to play. He knows he's better than all of them, but he can't. And his dad goes something like, "Oh, I knew you were meant like you're." He goes, you're put on this world for a reason, but I don't know if that reason is just to score touchdowns."
Yeah. So
And
good.
it's this great moment, cheers him up, and then Clark Kent says, "Oh, come on, I'll race you up the hill." But his dad's got to watch his heart.
Which do you guys think that moment hits more than having him put his hand out, and just be like, "Don't come for me"? Like all that was
From Man
delivered
of
in
Steel.
lines in a scene versus.
Oh, way better.
Yeah. Did you like that when he dies in Man of Steel?
Did me?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was iffy. Okay, I was okay about it because I was like, it's sad he's dying, but I was like, I don't get how you're trying to deliver all that messaging that he's trying to tell his son in that moment. Like, I would have liked more of him. I get it.
Yeah. I think Jonathan Kent's death is so important for Superman's character because it fuels him to do so much more and kind of
I don't think he would have left.
He's not complacent. Well, in this movie, he wouldn't have left, but I think there's a lot of versions where he's already left and then Jonathan Kent dies later. But I'm not saying Clark Kent or Superman is like complacent or anything, but I do think that his dad's death makes him strive for more. And that's like, how could Superman strive for more? He's already doing everything. And that is so cool. But I like Jonathan Kent's death in this a lot because it forces him to go explore new things. And he's so good. Even though we only have like 3 scenes with Jonathan, he's so good and he nails this. And it's heartbreaking to see him die of this heart attack. I think that's another thing too. It takes, usually he dies of a heart attack. It takes away when he dies of an external force, I would think, because you would believe that Superman would do everything in his power to save him. Yeah. And like in Man of Steel, he just dies from a tornado and where he definitely could have been saved. And so it's like, oh, how would this do anything for Clark if he didn't he didn't have a hand in it? He couldn't save him because like he can't save him if he's having a heart attack.
And there's this like part of it too where Clark Kent is already up the hill. Like he is already in the barn when he dies. Like he is out of his peripheral vision and he didn't like know this was going on. And so he comes back out to find Jonathan Kent. And I think there's something in that too where like Clark is physically leaving him behind in his youth and his, journey as a hero, that he is leaving him behind and he's moving past him.
Totally. That's good. And Martha's scream from the porch just kills me. It's so sad.
It's so sad.
So just to speed on past,
Well, this is why you were saying it was so confusing, because my memories of also the Brendan Ross Superman, I had mentioned, again, my memory of that film is like skewed. So I was like, oh yeah, I remember Lex Luthor throwing out a green kryptonite crystal and becomes a Fortress of Solitude. And now I get it why you're like, yeah, it's so confusing because a green crystal is also his home. Right. But it also looks like kryptonite. It's not kryptonite. I was wrong to say that. I just didn't remember that.
It's not kryptonite.
So getting there,
same thing.
We go to the funeral of Jonathan Kent, and he tells Martha, he's like, I got to get out of here. It's like, once I graduate here, I'm out of here. And he just starts booking it on foot. And I mean walking, not running to Metropolis, just walking. Maybe he hasn't learned how to fly yet. Who knows? But he gets to this really icy area. No idea where this could be if he has maybe like an upstate New York farm and he's walking down to like
looks
New York.
Icier than upstate New York.
Well, that's the thing. Where is it? Yeah. Where is he at? I don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
And Quebec? He has this. He gets this green crystal. He finds it before he leaves and pockets it. And then in a moment of rage, question mark, or maybe curiosity. I think
he knows what to do. I don't know why. Okay. It always struck me that I think he knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's something in his, like, he went to the barn to find the crystal. Like, he went there purposefully, it sounds like, to get that crystal.
It was calling him, so I guess.
It was, but I think it was in when he's a baby and he's, going in this process, he's getting pumped with all this knowledge.
3 years, right?
3 years. Right, he's getting pumped with all this knowledge, all this history.
They juice him. They juice him with E equals MC squared in there. They start teaching him like theory of these theories, and I'm like, wait a second, wouldn't Krypton be so ahead of this that E equals MC squared is probably nothing in their scientific
Rolodex,
if you will. Wouldn't they be juicing him with like the level that Earth was at?
That's probably right.
Well, yeah, they're probably making him learn the stuff about Earth's like history and Earth's, physics and whatnot.
I just thought it was so funny. I don't know. It's like Jor-El.
Was there E equals MC squared on the screen? Was there like a?
No, Jor-El says it. Like
you get that so fucking
acid
funny
trip thing, and he says E equals MC squared like out of nowhere. It's so
That's
funny.
Awesome.
So he tosses the green crystal, erects the Fortress of Solitude, comes out of the ground.
Sick.
It's awesome. It giant pillars of ice coming out of nowhere. I can't wait to see what they do with the Fortress of Solitude in the new Superman movie also, because it's such an iconic look.
Does it go down and up like all the time? Like, does it keep coming down and up?
I think it stays.
In general.
I think it stays. I think it's just there all the time.
Because then that means we get to see it become erect in this new film. Trailer for its own. That's what's weird.
Oh, do you think so?
I think they'll show.
Oh, you know what?
The
I'm just thinking it moves. It
Solitude.
adjusts because
To what?
It's like older. Because like it moves to the sun. Like they move in the new movie. They can turn it so that it faces the sun and then they reflected it back into like his fortress. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but I feel like I saw it like crystals coming out. So I'm like, oh, is that him literally doing it right there?
Well, they said they're skipping the whole origin. He's like 3 years into the Superman thing, which means he's probably
I've heard we get
it.
a lot of Clark Kent though. Maybe
That's
it's in flashbacks.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious because also in the comic that this is kind of the new one's based off, it's like on All-Star Superman, in which the Fortress of Solitude is kind of in the side of a mountain, like Ice Mountain.
Oh, that's cool too.
So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
And Jor-El appears via hologram inside the Fortress of Solitude, starts yapping at Clark
the
about
AI.
how he has a higher purpose. Yeah, he's got an AI, and then it also like it's a hologram, but then it goes into this weird 3D like space thing.
Yes.
Which is goofy.
It's like the mask.
Yeah, it's like a mask. You're like, okay, cool.
Which is weird. So he asks all these questions to the mask and to his father, and they're like talking, and so he's like in there for also a couple of years or something like that.
Yeah, a long time.
He's in there for a long time, and he's just like learning and basically like talking to his dad and asking him all these questions.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of it, it's this sequence, and he comes out with the suit, and he's flying, and he flies away.
It's very. Oh, actually, I'm kind of seeing this now. Very 2001-esque when.
Like Space Odyssey?
Yes. Between, like, after he talks to Jor-El and before he gets the suit, you have this, like, space reflection scenes with this, like, dialogue happening over it. It's kind of slow and almost meditative a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a very similar visual, not as good as 2001, but like I don't know. It has to be some sort of inspiration pulled from that. I'd say.
I haven't seen 2001, so I can't confirm, but I kind of know what you're talking about.
Me neither.
Cut to the Daily Planet. Tell me a little about the Daily Planet.
It just looks like a normal like New York office room. It's buzzing though. We got Lois Lane. She can't spell for shit, but she's moving fast, and that's all that
Why
matters.
do they give her a spelling issue in this movie?
Oh,
I do not know.
Was it the word rapist?
Part of me is. Oh yeah, it was like rapist only has one P.
Like,
but there's also a callback to that at the end of the movie because they say like rapist or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yes, like later on in the movie.
So funny, so random.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know why. Part of me it's like, maybe this is just 1978 and they're a little misogynistic, and they have to give Lois Lane some sort of like quirk, I guess.
They really show their some of that at the end. Of the
this movie shows its age, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does.
We also introduced Jimmy Olsen, which I didn't realize that guy was such a staple of Superman's culture. You know.
Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah,
I mean, like his buddy, his tag team guy.
Yeah,
which makes sense why people would be mad that in the newer Batman vs Superman films, Jimmy Olsen was just shot dead after 5 minutes of introducing him.
Was he really? I don't.
Yeah, like they introduced.
I do not remember that. That's hilarious.
Jimmy, like he wasn't like a hey Superman. He was like a tactical, like cool guy. He was like a really cool, like secret agent, like a Bond.
Sounds like Zack Snyder.
I hate that.
Yeah, and then like instantly he does like a fight scene. He's fighting, and then all of a sudden gets shot in the head, dead.
Nice.
So
it's a bummer.
This Jimmy Olsen feels more on par and with who he is in the comic.
Totally. Yeah, kind of eccentric and crazy. Wears the little bow ties all the time.
Yeah.
But he's like intern vibe, like the main guy, the Daily Planet's like, "Give me coffee," like and Clark Kent asks for some tea.
And this is where we get our first thing at Clark. Yeah, coming into the boss's office. Perry White, I think, is the editor-in-chief.
Perry White, yeah.
Perry White, is it? Yeah, Perry White. Played by Jackie Cooper, very famous. And I love this part where Clark kind of like has his hat and he's kind of holding it awkwardly, and then he like places it on something, and then he like grabs it again somewhere else and places it somewhere else, and like he just like he doesn't know what to do. And that is like so telling of his character there in just minutes, like just seconds of things happening. It's so, I don't know. I love it. We already talked a lot about
It's so
Clark
quirky.
Kent's kind of, his
Demeanor.
talked about that earlier.
He's
in the
got
podcast,
snappy
his
prose, a
demeanor.
quick wit, and his fastest typewriter I've ever seen.
Fastest typo I've ever seen.
He's a great writer. I like that he's also a good writer.
He's a good journalist.
He's a good journalist. Yeah.
That's right.
He's good at which have we ever seen in any iteration his stories or like the stuff he puts out as a journalist? I feel like we see him in the
I don't think
workplace.
so.
We see him working with people. Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
what is he? What
Well, I
type of
think
things is
that's-
he covering? What's he doing? Is he just talking about Superman? Is that what he's doing?
I think in Superman and Lois they dig more into that. Or My Adventures with Superman for sure. I think they cover a lot more of his
I
time
forget about that.
at the Daily Planet. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen Superman and Lois, but I assume that it does some of that.
I also
there,
remember in that All-Star Superman comic that I just read, he uses his job to get Lois stories, like after he gets
okay.
let go from the Daily Planet, because it's something that he still loves, like
Mhm.
collecting stories and doing that. And that was interesting. So yeah, but I don't know. I think you're right. I don't think we've seen too much of him actually.
Doing the
that.
journalism.
Yeah.
I want
I
to
do
see the
think we
snappy
see some.
prose.
We do see some in the next couple Superman movies. I distinctly remember a scene of Clark at a
okay.
press conference asking questions, but then obviously
Cool.
has to leave to be Superman and doesn't get
Sure.
what he needs.
Of
But
course.
good scene, nonetheless. Yes, we have we get everybody there. Let's jump into Superman's
The
introduction,
The iconic
The
scene.
helicopter scene.
the
A
helicopter
staple
scene.
of all superhero film media.
Basically, Lois is going in an interview. She's gonna go interview somebody, and a helicopter's gonna take her to said location. Right? Am I on the right track?
It was something big. It was like at the Pentagon or something like that.
Big moment for her. She's stoked.
Yeah.
Okay. She gets in the helicopter, takes off. It gets caught on a wire.
Yep. Rogue
Yeah.
wire.
Rogue wire.
Which,
And this
let me-
helicopter. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask because I was watching this and I was like, oh wait, is this a miniature or is this a real? This is a real helicopter.
It
At
looks
some
like
point-
a real helicopter.
Yeah, it looks
really
I
real.
don't-
Oh man, okay. Which is just crazy
It
that
looked
back
very
then, like,
real.
I don't know. I feel like you'd do something like that now, but I don't know. It just feels
don't
back
know.
then. Stunts are just so visceral back then. That they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this in a helicopter. We're not gonna strap it down. We're not gonna we're just gonna have a good pilot. It's
I mean,
like you guys are
It
doing
kind of
this.
sold it when they did the back of the helicopter.
Going through the booth?
Yeah, the Bills
smash.
man.
Oh my God, that was
that sold it
crazy.
for me. I was like, oh, this has got to be like at least a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
bit practical. Like I don't know. You would have known if it was computer graphics. Like everything that is computer
Yeah.
graphics in here is extremely obvious.
Obvious,
you know?
yeah.
So it's like I think it's legit
Yeah.
unless it's just that good.
There's a really great moment in this scene. So Superman, Clark Kent sees it happen, and he's like, "Oh shit, I got to spring into action." He goes and he runs off, and he stops at a telephone booth,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "Oh wait a second." He's like, "This isn't gonna work," and then he
Yeah.
goes
It's
into
not
like
even
a
telephone
revolving
booth.
door.
It's like a
It's right. It's not. Well, it's a new telephone booth. It's a 1978 telephone booth, which
Yeah,
is
not a
It's only
walk-in.
like half. It only has like a little like divider on the side. It's not a
Yeah.
full open closed door situation.
right.
It's just a little booth. So he goes into the revolving door, comes back out in the suit.
Spins around, suits up.
Yeah.
But does he do a crack before that? Does he do the shirt rip?
Yeah, I
I
feel
don't
like right
remember a
before he
shirt
goes
rip.
into the revolver. I feel like
I don't remember. He maybe right before he
'Cause-
goes in the revolving door. But
Yeah,
I
he
don't
has
remember
two
it.
suit changes in this. He does the rip.
The
into
other one is
revolving door,
crazy.
and the other one he's just flying, and he goes, and he just poof,
And
and
he's
he's in the
going,
Superman suit.
and I'm like, I didn't know you could do that. What the
So,
hell?
okay, cool. That's great. Yeah, so Lois, she drops a hat or something, so he knows that something is happening, as if he couldn't hear the helicopter above him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took a
Or the
hat to fall all
screams.
the way down. Yeah, right. And he saves Lois in this beautiful.
And he saves Lois, and he holds the helicopter like that. And people have some qualms with how he holds the helicopter. And like also
why.
later
What are the
on, like
qualms with
how
this?
low. Well, people because of like the weight of how it's like distributed, and then also
Strongest
I mean
man
this
alive.
also kind of goes into,
Yeah,
but this
his
also goes
grip
into
is
later
pride.
on when she's flying, when Lois is flying with Superman, and
Oh.
she is like she is in full bird, and Superman is holding like just the tips of her fingers.
Yes.
Right? And so
Beautiful.
I think it was Greg Miller who said that like some people think his strength is like almost like a force field around his body, and he can extend that force field onto things that he's like grabbing or touches. And so that is what allows it to like stay,
Look,
which is
I had a thought about the flying scene. I know we're gonna get to that, but I was like, it was an idea, but then it was immediately shut down because as he's holding her, I thought it was the speed that she had so much momentum that's why she was like hovering.
Bringing her
But
forward.
then the second he let her go, she just boom, like switched
Yeah.
to the ground. So I was like,
Which
well,
is so
wouldn't
funny.
she like go down?
I'm like, how do you like?
don't know why
I'm
she-
like, how does this happen? You're the strongest man
Yeah.
alive, and
It's
you
like,
can't
"Oop."
keep the grip.
Yeah.
Or
Let's talk
maybe
about
he
this
did
scene.
it on purpose.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
this
let's
scene.
jump to it.
So basically, Superman saves Lois Lane, and it's pretty obvious that Clark and Superman both
but the
have a bit of a
date.
crush
We're
here.
talking
on
about
it.
the
Superman.
date.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Yeah,
talk about the
did
date.
the interview.
Okay,
right?
we're going straight into the whole thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
But
because we can talk about Lex right after this. It's not important
Yeah.
to introduce.
I'll
Lex
just say it off the
for-
rip. I think this is my favorite scene because it's the
For
chemistry
sure.
between them two.
Oh,
And
it's
then
so
you
good.
get to
Off the
hear
charts.
Superman and who he is and his personality as a human being.
Yeah.
That he likes pink.
That he likes pink. Yeah, he can't see through lead, so we're getting some more of his weaknesses. And then Lois is asking him questions about your height.
The worst questions.
Yeah, right. What's your?
Yes.
How big are you? And I'm like, whoa! The questions that are going
do you
on
still?
here.
Does everything work?
Does
Like, do
everything-
you
Yeah.
still eat?
What?
Eat?
I was like, what the heck is going on here? It's wild.
It's so cute, and I like how Superman asks Lois on a date here. Well, wait.
He leaves a note.
But Clark leaves the note because it's from a friend, right? But
Oh, wait. He
Superman
has
shows
this
up
great.
before that.
Well, we gotta talk about the line.
What's the line?
The line when he saves Lois, he goes, you know, so hope this doesn't deter you from flying. Statistically, it's still the safest way to travel.
Oh,
Feels like an ad. Feels like an ad.
I just have to drop that. We can move on. I just need to draw attention. But he leaves a note for her saying, like, Wednesday, 8:00 at your apartment, signed a friend.
Yeah, because he called. She's like, "Who are you?" After Superman
And he
saves
goes,
her.
a friend.
A friend. Yeah.
Also,
And then he goes, bye.
I know this is like silly to ask, but like part of me was like, wait, Superman can read minds? Was
No,
he
he
reading
cannot
his
read
mind? No,
minds.
he wasn't reading her
No,
mind,
you
right?
cannot read minds.
That was her point of view on that.
That was her POV.
Okay,
Totally.
Her thing.
That was her
Okay,
POV.
I was like, wait
Yeah,
a second.
that's
Yeah,
her
okay.
thinking. He does
So-
not know any of these thoughts.
We talked about Superman taking Lois on the flight around Metropolis, which is a beautiful, beautiful scene. It goes on for a little too long,
It's
in
so
my
long.
opinion.
It's so long.
It is long. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very long, but it's very sweet. It's cute. It has a lot of like almost fourth wall breaking moments where Christopher Reeve almost looks at the camera saying like, "I'm the man. I know." This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but
And then
live
the
my
trend-
life.
The transition is so effective because as he flies off at a full slant, I like that he doesn't fall. He doesn't fly like straight. He like flies like
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He immediately flies off and then boom, knock on the door and he's already Clark. And I'm like, that's
Oh, I
That's effective.
love that.
It's so
stuff.
Yeah,
sick,
the
dude.
transition.
so
Mhm.
good. So good.
I love that. So yeah, Superman or Clark Kent comes in and he's like, "Oh, Lois," like doing his
hey,
little
we gotta go.
his bumbled thing. And Lois is like, "I need to change.
Oh,
I need
the
to get my hair
stand-up
ready."
is
Yeah.
so good.
And then she goes in the bathroom and he like
3
stands
inches,
up and
dude.
puts his shoulders
And I'm
back.
like, was he
straight.
walking like this the whole time? Because I didn't see
He
that
hunches.
Hunch.
Yeah,
he
I don't
hunches the
even
whole
notice
time.
that.
He's
Like I
Clark
guess you,
Kent.
your whole presence, and then you bring it up. and
It goes.
like,
It's like a
"Man, that's
specific
sick."
comic book line where Clark Kent like has a hunch and he sort of wears clothes that are really baggy, to sort of mask
Yeah.
that no one would even think that he's Superman because his whole demeanor is different.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a good scene. There is a scene somewhere else, maybe in the second one, where there is a dinner date sort of thing at Lois's apartment where the two of them have to switch, or basically Clark is there having the date with Lois, but there's something happening that Superman needs to go save, and he needs to keep going back and forth and it's so good. It's like this scene on steroids. I think it's my favorite.
You said in the second one?
I believe it's in the second one, but I don't remember.
His responsibilities. He's like, "Hey, Lois, I'm back," and he's Clark, but then he's like, "Gotta go back as Superman." And he's like,
or he
Superman
like
stuff. Or?
He goes in the kitchen and he's cooking. He's like turkeys in the oven, and he needs to get the turkey out. And Lois is in the other room, like watching a show or something, and he's like out the window, basically Supermaning, and then coming back, cooking in his Superman outfit, and then going back, and it's like it's so good. I kind of thought that this scene was going to be that scene, just because I don't really remember which movie it's in. It all blends together. Watching them, so
it all looks the same. It has the grain.
They're shot back to back, shot at the same time.
Just crazy. But yeah, this is my favorite scene. It's the best, in my opinion. It just shows off Clark, shows off Superman, Christopher Reeves. I mean, Lois Lane is great in this. Reeve.
Yeah, when I saw the credits of his name, I was like, oh, I've been saying his name wrong my whole life. I don't know why.
It's funny. Let's jump into our bad guys here. We're almost an hour into this podcast. So let's get into the bad guys in the finale. Okay. Lex's master. We meet Lex, Gene Hackman. What are your guys' opinion on Gene Hackman's Lex? It's kind of different than other iterations we've seen.
When I saw Gene Hackman was cast, I was like, oh, well, because I mean, I knew who Lex was and how he looked, but in my head, I didn't put together that it was Gene Hackman. So again, seeing the title of his name, I was like, oh man, this is great. I think he's good. He's very maniacal. He has a very funny attitude to him. And yeah, Lex is always like a smart guy, but I always forget he's never like a cool, calm dude. He's always like loud and flamboyant. Yeah, right. Like yeah.
I
think he's great.
I think there's the minute Gene Hackman and his sort of like crew come on scene, I'm reminded of like how they're definitely going for an Adam West Batman kind of vibe with his Superman.
Yes.
With this like rogue gallery of like, you know, he hangs out with these people who are like not the smartest, but he like, you know, it's like he's always calling, what's the other guy's name? Who's
Otis.
like, Mr. Luthor.
Yeah. There's something.
But he's great. I love it. I love the
calls
dynamic.
Him a nincompoop like
he's
5
nincompoop.
times.
Yeah, it's a Neanderthal. Other N, not M.
It's like Lex surrounds himself with these two like complete idiots to make himself feel smarter than he is, even though Lex is like supposed to be very smart.
Supposed to be
one of the man on Earth.
One of the smartest. Smartest man on Earth. I didn't want to speak, but
that he surrounds himself with.
We know why he keeps Miss Tessmacher around.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh no.
This test. What is it?
Tessmacher. Which I'm curious if she's gonna be in the new film. If they She is. Is she the one with the blogger?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But she's in a lot of iterations, just completely different. In this, she's completely 100% over sexualized. And that is it. Yeah. That is her only thing.
That's her only thing.
It's horrible. It looks really bad. I don't know. Terrible. It does not age well at all.
Hey, but do you know what did age well? The set design when she's on the beach scene and it's got the TVs. Awesome. That was so sick.
So Lex's whole thing is he's underground. He's under a train station, kind of.
That whole bit is great. Like
it's so great.
Wait, you know what people would pay for east side of Park Avenue real estate? And Miss Tessmacher's like, 200 feet underground. They got the water in the sunken stain, or in this sunken train station. Oh, it's so cool.
It's like their pool.
Yeah, it's their pool. It's disgusting, but
we come up with Lex's master plan here, which Lex has bought all the real estate, basically east of the San Andreas Fault, on the coast or on the
worthless
fault.
Land, supposedly
worthless sand or land in the desert. All of this, and he plans on stealing a couple nukes that are in transport from the U.S. government, and he's just going to nuke the San Andreas Fault so that the entire West Coast falls into the ocean, and now he has prime real estate, baby.
Yep.
He's got all the, it's a hilarious plan.
Otisville.
Oh, yeah.
Otisville. Miss Tessmacher, or Tessmacher Peaks.
Yep.
That's funny. Which, as I was watching that, I was like, oh, I feel like Superman at this point is not... Like, he's like, this is going not over his head, but just like...
No, it's not. He's totally... he knows exactly what's going on.
No, I know. I'm like, saying not over his head. That's why I said not over his head, but that he's so... he couldn't care less about this evil plan.
Like, he does not care.
Oh, Lex.
He's shaking his head like, these guys are ridiculous.
Like, it's something that doesn't concern him, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he is so above it all, you know.
Well, I think he
Yes.
sees directly through at Luthor's like maniacal heart, and I think that is like the only thing he's concerned with. He's like, oh, this guy's just a bad dude. I think until now he hasn't like met someone who's just like a straight up. He hasn't met a
Horrible
villain
person. Yeah, his man.
Yeah.
yet, and
That's true.
He's like, oh, this guy's fucked up. Like I need to do something about him.
Yeah.
God, it's so good. And Lex, I think he is so surrounded by these idiots that like when he finally talks to Superman, I think he's like really enjoying. It's
an
almost like
intelligent,
a Joker
like,
Batman.
It's a stimulating
situation.
conversation.
Yeah, he's stimulating. He's like, oh wow, like, you know, as much as he, you know, wants to get rid of Superman and sees him as a threat, he's also like, wow, like it's really great to have someone who is
Yes.
intelligent to talk to.
This creates the iconic, you know, good guy, bad guy relationship.
Oh, it's so good. Their relationship is so good in this movie, I think.
I'm very curious how it's going to be in the new one.
Like,
Yeah.
big head mode
Can't
for
wait.
sure.
I heard Nicholas Hoult is electric.
I mean, Nicholas Hoult is a great actor.
He
He's a
is.
jumpy guy. I love my jumpy guys.
Jumpy. Yeah, he's a jumpy guy.
He's a jumpy
He's not
guy.
fun.
He's jumpy.
I hope he jumps in this movie so he can go into his jumpy cinematic universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
He just
jumpy.
jumps in everything he's in.
I've never
Jumpy.
heard of that.
I'll tell you all about his jumpiness. We'll get there on the next podcast, I'm sure. Okay,
Sure.
so yeah, we learned the master plan, all this. I'm going to skip a few scenes here because we have Superman. He explains the plan to Superman, and Lex has sourced kryptonite and just tosses this big metal chain kryptonite necklace on him.
The fear in Superman's eyes is so palpable. Like
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely great performance from Christopher Reeve.
It is.
Just hand up.
He kind of
I
like
love that.
stumbles and falls on this like chest that he sits on, and then
Yeah.
he tries to stand up, and then Lex like brings him back down. It's like so funny. It's very
It's so good.
what's the word I'm looking for? It's very physical humor almost,
Yeah.
but also not humor. It's not
Yeah.
supposed to be that funny, but it is
I mean, it's like
Lex
it's,
makes
it's,
it
it's,
funny.
it's the Adam West, right?
Yeah.
Type of
Yeah.
type of thing. you know?
carrying a big bomb, you know, through a window or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, that
Right.
kind of vibe. So yeah, Lex is gonna go carry out this plan. So he just basically tosses Superman in the pool. He's like, Mr. Tessmacher, you know, deal with him. It's fine. Just like, you know, watch him. And he goes to go launch the nukes. Tell me about this scene, James. Your favorite well-aged scene.
So
Oh,
there's
no.
two of these scenes, and they're kind of back to back because they go to steal the nukes, and part of this scheme is that Miss Tessmacher is like splayed out in the middle of the road, like, you know, to distract.
Oh,
The-
this is horrible. I forgot about this.
This is awful, to distract the Navy, and they come over and they're like checking on her, and then the lead guy is like, okay, there's two things we need to do here. Is we need a heavy chest massage and mouth to mouth, and then he tells everyone around to turn around,
turn their backs to him.
turn their back, and then so they do that, and then it cuts to the next scene. And
That is crazy.
it was insane. My jaw dropped. I was like, I can't believe
That they
this
put
is
in
happening
there.
right
Yeah.
now.
And for
So
no
they steal
reason.
it for no reason. So whatever, they steal the nuke. The nitwit guy, fuck, I forgot his name. Otis. Right,
I'm wondering if
Phil.
Otis will be in the new one too. I don't know.
I would love Otis to be in the new one. Otis, he fucks up in the nuke instructions. He wrote down all his arm and he forgot to space it out, so
Yeah.
it looked like all one number.
Wrong code.
Wrong code. He said, "You nincompoop," and then so they have to like
They fight. in the
figure it
van.
out.
Yeah.
yeah, they go steal the second nuke. But while Superman is, and the whole thing is going on, the nukes are launched.
Yeah.
They're already in transit, and Miss Tessmacher tells Superman she's back at the lair at this
Yes.
point. Lex Luthor leaves. She's in the lair, and she tells Lex, she's like, "Oh, to Hackman, New Jersey, like that's where my mom lives.
That's where my mom is.
That's where my mom is." And Lex Luthor just looks at his watch and is like, well, not anymore. And
Yeah.
so he like leaves. And Miss Tessmacher knows the only way that her mom's gonna live is if Superman saves her. So she goes and takes the thing off of his neck, takes the necklace of kryptonite around his neck, and then
drowning, right?
kisses Superman.
Keep in mind, she jumps into the pool with her white
Yep.
see-through dress for like, why is she wearing this? Just to like save him. Like, good God. It's just like,
Thought of
she's just used, purely as, I don't know.
I was like,
obligatory
she's gonna give him
sexual
mouth-to-mouth,
object.
right? And then no, it was just
No,
a
well,
kiss.
she does kiss him.
She does kiss him for.
She
wow.
kisses
Even
him
asks,
right
right?
before she takes it off. She kisses him, and
Why'd
then
you kiss
he's
me
like,
before?
"Why'd you kiss me?" She goes, "Because I didn't think you'd let me after I took it off."
And he says
And
something.
then he like touches her face.
yeah. He's like, oh,
He kind of like caresses her,
I'm like,
and I was like, Superman,
What's going on, dude?
no.
Superman, what is going on?
We could have just
And then
taken
he
out the
leaves.
kiss part, the see-through dress part. It would have been a fine scene.
Yep, would have been fine.
Yep.
So then Superman leaves and goes to on his final grand finale scene of going to save, redirect these missiles
Yes.
and to undo the damage.
Which is awesome. You have this shot of the missile going, like the missile's flying, the camera's right behind it, and then it cuts to like a very similar shot of Superman flying. It's cool. It's awesome.
And then one of the missiles hits, the other doesn't. So he saves the New Jersey one.
Because he promises he's gonna
Yep.
take out that missile first to save Miss Taskmaster's.
Tessmacher's
It's Taskmaster.
Tessmacher's mom.
Yes.
And so he does that first, then he goes over, doesn't get there in time to stop the missile, which you're like kind of like, like, really? Superman couldn't get there in time?
Yeah.
But he it's a super cool moment. So the missile goes right onto the plate.
This
And
is
so,
awesome.
It's like you see the ground like separating.
Yes.
And Superman literally moves the mountains. Like he goes under the earth
Yes.
to hold up the plates so that it doesn't separate. And he
Fixes
literally
it.
like fixes it back into place. And a super cool shot. He's underground. There's all this
Yes.
molten rock. It's like 5 million degrees under there.
Yeah.
And he's just fucking pushing. And
Oh,
he does
it's
it.
awesome.
And he does it. And he comes back.
And
Hoover
you get-
Dam's
you get
busting.
Exact reverse shot of the of like the fault breaking.
Yeah, of the fault
shot
breaking and
reverses
just repairs.
it kind of
Yeah.
repairs itself.
It's so good.
And then the train, there's a train going by, and he
Yep.
like jumps on the track, and one of the tracks
And
is
he
broken.
becomes
and so he becomes the
rail.
track like this, and the train
Yeah.
goes over him, and he just starts saving people. It's awesome.
All the while, Lois Lane is having a Final Destination moment where she's leaving this gas station.
Yep.
And gas station explodes. Real explosions, by the way, which are
that
crazy.
It's crazy when something real happens, how much better it looks than the
Oh, it looks so
the
cool.
CGI stuff. Yeah.
And the electrical wires are going all over the
Yep.
place, and the car's like swerving around, and then it goes in the ditch, and Lois Lane can't get out of the car, and the ditch is starting to fill with dirt and gravel.
It is super
And
Final Destination. Funny you say that.
That's a good point.
super Final Destination. And so there's a ticking clock.
Yeah.
There's a ticking clock of Lois Lane. She's like, oh my God, Superman better fucking hurry up.
Yeah.
And he's like, dealing with everything. He's repairing the dam. He's pushing shit back into place.
Yeah.
He saves Jimmy.
Randomly.
And finally, at the end of this whole thing, he goes to Lois, and it's too late. He lifts up the car, throws off the car door, and takes her out. And he was too late. He couldn't save her.
Rest in peace, Lois Lane.
No.
Rest in peace, Lois Lane. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that.
They killed her.
So he yells. He's
It's
like,
the scream heard around the galaxy. Doomsday
I
heard that
love
scream.
the scream.
it's so good. And he's angrily flying
Yes.
back into the atmosphere.
Which is
And
one of the better launches. Most of the times he just
The
kind of
launches are all
floats away.
bad.
Yeah.
He just floats away. But this launch feels good, and I think it's because
He
the
put his legs
scream.
behind it.
Yeah, and the shot. I think the shot makes it.
The shot, he was going like straight up, which I think
Yes.
helps. It's not like he's kind of floating in. It's
Yeah.
from the bottom up.
Boom, right.
And Jor-El's talking to him, saying like, "Oh, don't alter the course of human history. Like you shouldn't be doing this."
He's in the clouds.
He's in the clouds.
Yeah.
But then he decides, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway." And it's this. I love this shot of the Earth, and you see the little lines
Yep.
go around.
I've seen this a lot. I feel like they've replicated this scene a lot in like different mediums, different cartoons and stuff like that, where you reverse time by rotating the
Fly.
Earth in a reverse
Yes,
way.
yes,
But
yeah,
when you
yeah.
told me that there's time travel in this, I'd be like, what? But I was pretty happy to see that he could actually go back in time by just changing the rotation.
It's crazy
of
that
the
he could go this fast, but he couldn't go fast enough to catch the second missile.
I
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah.
And also, it's I love that he goes, to spin the Earth backwards, and then he's like, he has to go the opposite direction to make sure the Earth is spinning the correct
Yeah, that was
direction
nice
again.
detail. I was like, why is it going back?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
a good
he comes
detail.
back down.
It just keeps
Yeah,
going,
that's
reverse
really
in time.
great. It just keeps, wow.
Which
So
begs
then
the
he goes
question
back.
of,
Yeah.
I'm always curious, like a quick, who's faster, him or the Flash? I'm like, I don't know, they're both kind of fast.
They've done this. They've raced in the animated
I
series.
feel like they've raced a lot because like they're
And
both can go
I
back
think
in
they're-
time with their speed.
I think they're equal.
Of course.
Yeah,
I think they're equal.
That's what I would make it too. Make the question last forever.
Yeah.
Make the question last forever.
You'll have
Yeah,
to-
I have to go back and rewatch that episode of, I think it's Superman the animated series where he does like a little crossover episode with the Flash.
Love it.
Ooh.
But anyway, so he goes back, saves Lois Lane, and then what?
He saves Lois Lane, and that's the movie abruptly ends. He saves Lois
Right?
Lane.
I was
and
like, what happens after that?
He sees Jimmy. Jimmy has a couple remarks as well. You see the three of them together briefly.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, isn't it funny that Clark Kent is never here when Superman is here?
And then Lois Lane goes, has this face of like, I've figured it out. Like, duh,
Yeah,
they're the
definitely.
same person. And then it's just Superman flying.
Flying.
Yeah.
Like,
and Jimmy's like, that's a silly idea, Lois.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is the same thing. Which is kind of same thing as what her mom said to her when she was a little
Yeah.
girl in that scene, because she's like, oh, like the guy's running.
Well, doesn't
She's
he
like,
take
"Don't
Luthor
stop being
back?
silly."
Doesn't
Yeah,
he
he
take
takes
Luthor
Luthor
back?
back
Doesn't he
with
put
Otis.
him
to the prison, and it's
then-
revealed that he's bald.
Bald. It's
Yeah.
like
Which is
he's
great.
been bald the whole time.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
they do pick up wigs.
yeah,
in the
Otis
movie.
has all the wigs for Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, Otis had them all.
Which
Yeah.
I wonder, was that like something that people would be like, or was it just like, oh, he's bald? Like it's not like a hit, right? Was it a hit?
I think people know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty iconic to him, I guess.
Right?
I think it's
Yeah.
just a
Iconic
nod.
because of that movie.
I think no,
before
even in the
that-
comics. I he
No,
was
in the
bald
comics,
too.
he's always been bald.
I think it's the same concept as like when Wolverine, you see his cowl, like, and his cowl's
Yeah,
never in
okay.
the movies. It's just a
Yeah.
part of him, and it's
Yeah.
like cool to see, but like it didn't really matter. It's just a
matters.
character, like it's his
Yeah.
character. So something that I didn't talk about at all that I love so much about this movie is his score. I think this is John Williams, like one of his
yeah.
best scores
So good.
ever. When that theme hits, it rocks, and
It does.
the date scene has just a beautiful, magical like soundtrack to it.
Mhm.
I think this is one of John Williams' best. It's so good.
I know
Yeah,
it's very
it's very
obvious
good.
to say, but like, hearing the main theme, how it goes from like main chorus to like, I don't know what they call it, an orchestra, but like it's like Star Wars. Like,
Yeah,
you hearing his trends, it's like it's such
Yes.
a perfect way to make an orchestral song.
You
but
hear
how
his
it's like,
identity.
yeah,
Yes.
you hear his identity.
It's like Hans
Hear his
Zimmer.
identity.
You can hear the Hans
Zimmer
Zimmer
like that.
in music now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That
F1
was so
soundtrack sounded very much like Inception, and like
Dark Knight
this
and
sounded
everything.
very much like Star Wars in
Yeah.
certain pieces.
Yeah.
It's
He just has his style.
yeah,
But
their
yeah, I
styles.
agree. One of his best, like one of the best
Oh,
orchestral
it's
scores.
so beautiful. Yeah, I love it. Fun fact
Wow.
about this: it received praise for Reeves' performance, and John Williams' score, and was nominated for Best Film Editing, Best Music, and Best Sound at the 51st Academy Awards, and received a Special Achievement Academy Award for visual effects. It's funny we've been dunking
Wow.
on the visual effects, but in '78,
Well, I was looking at it like I'm like for 1978, like some of this is crazy. Like the
Yeah.
mirror scene is
Seriously.
kind of nuts. Like the opening scene with the little loop, the hula
Yeah.
hoops that are going back and forth.
I
I'm like,
love
this shit
it.
looks
Yeah.
great.
there's a lot of
Especially
really good looking
with
stuff.
the remastered, like you can tell, like there's not like, what am I trying to say? Like there's not like an effect done. Like it's either done
Yeah.
practically or like it's so
Right.
clean. It's clean how they
It is very
Yes.
clean.
done most of the effects that I saw.
Yeah.
It's like,
The one of Superman running up the hill after the train, where it's all the dust. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about? He's running back and all. They just had a motorcycle that they just like
just
drove up
That's
the
funny.
road,
Yeah,
and it
as
created all the
practical as they
dust.
could be.
Oh yeah, that's
Practical as
sick.
they could
Yeah,
be.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I love the like they just said, oh, we'll just drive a motorcycle and
Yeah.
it'll like look the same because you can't tell from that far away.
That's good.
Yeah. Isn't that good?
I like that a lot.
They were
like
so
that.
like imaginative back then with their,
Yeah.
with
Now it's
their,
like, let's go 4-wall blue screen. He's supposed to have a phone in his hand. Forget it. We'll just make some CG guy.
Yeah.
We'll make him do overtime. Let's put a phone in his
We'll
hand.
have a guy in a green screen jumpsuit holding the phone up to his ear, and so we
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
roto him out while he's holding it.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. That is the current state of filmmaking. Hilarious.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much for watching this movie with me. I love this movie.
I was glad to do it. This was my first time watching Superman the movie. I had a great time. I really loved a lot of this film.
good.
If I were to score it, I'd still think I'd give it like a 7, just because I think some of the pacing issues are there. But it's just got a lot of like charm.
It
I
does.
love Christopher Reeve as Superman. I think
Yeah.
he's so charming. He just is so friendly. He's a friend. He's a friend to everybody,
Yeah.
and I love how much of that comes through in his character. And I think he's very like round. They made him Boy Scout, but not like too Boy Scout, as we talked about earlier. And like they're true to his identity,
Yeah.
but they also make him fun and
Right.
not just one dimensional.
Yeah.
Which I think for that time in a 1978 movie of Superman, I think is very cool.
I know it's like wrong to, well, not wrong, but I know it's like it's so easy to compare with the other Supermans. But now, before seeing David, do we think that this is for Superman the ultimate, like the not the ultimate? I was thinking of a word like the cornerstone of Superman.
For sure.
Is this
To me.
Superman? Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. I think
This is the most accurate depiction of like.
there's
think.
more
I
spectacle.
mean, there's multiple
in-
versions.
There's more spectacle in modern versions, I guess. But at the core of it, that is much less memorable than Christopher Reeve performance.
And I think it's less
Clark
like
Kent, to me.
Superman. Like I
Yeah.
think Superman is more about his like who he is as a person
See, that's
Yeah.
what I
than
like
just
about
like the
character.
shit he could do. Because I think the thing about Superman and the way he's written across comics is like he's always going to get it done. Like he's always going to figure out a way to do the thing, and it's
Yep.
not about whether or not he can do the thing. It's about him and his response to the
Yeah.
thing and his approach to the people in the world around him.
It's those moments where there's the city's falling down, but he could still save a person and be like,
Yeah.
all right, sir, you're good, ma'am. Is this yours? Like that is
Exactly.
such a- I don't
He's
know,
hope.
That's a hero
He is
thing.
the symbol of hope. Like
Yeah.
he carries that on his shoulders, and that's like the biggest burden. It isn't the fate of the world. And he can't say like Batman in some ways is like, oh, he wants to save everybody, and he's tasked with these hard decisions, and he has to do the
Yeah.
hard thing all the time. Whereas like Superman also has to do the hard thing, but he also has to be a public figure. He's
Yeah.
he has to be the political figure too. He's the one who instills hope
Oh, this is
in
good.
people.
This
Versus
is- wait
like
a
that one
second.
moment
Right?
in Batman versus Superman where Clark Kent looks at Lois and goes, "Not everyone stays good in this world." And I was like, "What? Don't make Superman say that!
Okay.
Oh my
Don't
god!"
make- that's not see.
That was
you hit a
visceral
good-
Fuck Zack Snyder for
shock.
that.
That was
James, you hit a
visceral
good point.
shock.
If I'm writing this next couple years of DC whatever universe, we're gonna have a new Batman. We have this Superman, right? They're gonna cross paths, right?
Have to.
And Superman and Batman, they don't always get along. They don't always fight each other, like
No, no, they
doing the
don't.
Batman versus Superman.
don't.
But I think that is an incredible. What you just brought up is an incredible plot point of
It's the
at
whole
the end of the
thing.
day, something bad happens. They've done as best as they could, and at the end of the day, Batman goes home and he can sulk and whatever. But Superman has to stay out there and be the public figure. That
does.
That is good. That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
Oh,
And it's the
wow.
corner. It's the core. Like it's the corner of their relationship because
Yes.
Bruce Wayne knows the politics. Like he is a political figure, right? Wayne Industries is like one of the biggest private like enterprises in the world in DC Comics, and he like has to, and he knows that world, but he'll never like operate out of his justice, like
Yeah.
how he does. And so he like does the dirty work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Where I think even Batman gets resentful of Superman because he has to be like, he doesn't get the same criticism
Right.
as Batman because he doesn't he doesn't operate in the spotlight. He operates in the shadows.
Right.
And Superman, whatever he does is going to be in the spotlight no matter
Yeah.
what. It's just not who he is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Clip that, TikTok. What do you think?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
guys.
love Superman. Like, I didn't think I loved Superman, but after watching this, I'm just reminded of how much I fucking love Superman. That I grew up and I watched Superman. I didn't watch Batman growing up.
Oh, see, I was the Batman guy. It was always Batman. And I love though that I love these contrasts and comparisons because even with the parents, like they have a different relationship with the death of not the death of their parents, but like there's some correlation, of course, it's comic, but we can talk about it. I want to talk about it off camera. Let's dive into it.
Wait, your mother was named Martha?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's it. Oh.
Yeah.
More deeper than that, but I
funny.
can joke. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
excited to watch
see a new
Superman
version of
tonight.
Superman.
Sorry, I just
Again,
need to say that.
I cannot believe we're actually here to be doing that. Oh, we lost James.
We lost James, but
you're frozen for me, Vincent. You guys are
no.
frozen. Okay, we're back.
Okay,
we're good. I mean, we're good.
That's good.
Look, wait, can I say I saw this one tweet and
Hit me.
I wanted to read it. It was just quick. This guy put out kind of a review or kind of what we need for Superman now. A child whose world is lost when politicians reject science, the Kryptonians. A baby sent across an ocean of stars to seek the safety of another land. A refugee embraced by America who uses his great power to help everyone on Earth. A kind and humble hero who challenges a cruel and narcissistic billionaire in Lex Luthor. A man who can be anything, who chooses to be a journalist for truth and justice. A symbol of hope,
so good.
pushing back against fear. He's a smile. He's a friend. This is the time for Superman. Oh,
I love that.
I was like, oh, dude, that's so good. It's
Nothing
movie
left
we
to
need.
say there.
Yep.
That is a good way to end it. This weekend, go see the new Superman because we're definitely going to have another podcast episode. We have James frozen, I think. Or am I frozen? Who knows?
No, you're not frozen. You're good.
We got James. I'm going to just zoom in on James's face during this outro. It's going to be hilarious. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. See you on the next one.